Welcome to Lamb Living. My name is Holly Lamb, and today I'm very excited to be a part of the Open Playlist 5 Under 5 Challenge. And this month in September, the challenge is home decor dupes or duplicates. And so I'm going to be duplicating some wall decor and other things that, I may not be great at duplicates because all of my duplicates turned out huge. And so it's a lot of fun and really beautiful. And I'm pleased with all 5 of my home decor dupes. Our hosts are Emily from Farm Charm Chic and Missi from the Crafty Cove DIY, and our guest host this month is Christine from the DIY Craftaholic. These are the 3 sweetest ladies here on YouTube, and I know that you're going to love checking out their channels below. All right, we're going to start off with these shells. Next year, and a month and a year away, is my daughter's wedding, and I think I'm going to be using these as a place setting so that our guests can take them home as a little favor. And so you see those prices on Etsy, $30, $25. I was inspired by these 2 shells that I picked up in Alaska at a little craft show. Those are salmon on those shells. And the lady who made them, she said she used resin to make them all shiny and beautiful. And they were just gorgeous. I gave those to my mom as a little gift from Alaska. And Mom sent me that picture. That's where she put them in her house. And so I thought, why can't I, instead of going to the cost of resin, why can't I just go to the Dollar Tree and get clear nail polish, and then I use gold nail polish from the Dollar Tree as well, and use that and see if that will make them that nice, bright, shiny gloss that resin gives to things that you put resin on. And so what I did is I did that. I went and I got some clear nail polish, the top coat, and then I got some different nail polishes, and I'll show those to you in a minute. But then I went and I printed out on my printer just some pictures. I have a sunflower there. I printed out several maps. There's the maps of here, St. Simon's Island and Brunswick, and here in Glenn County, where I live. And then I printed out some other things. I got some vintage music. There's some Mod Podge. Now that's the matte Mod Podge that you get at the Dollar Tree. Those cute little squeeze bottles. But you know what? You could have used gloss. Because of course we're putting the top coat on there. I just like that little bitty squeeze bottle. It's just handy for me. I'm downstairs in the kitchen here crafting. I did this away from, not in my craft room because it's upstairs. And that nail polish is smelly. I end up putting on a mask to do it, but when the nail polish comes out, so I did this downstairs. And so you're going to see that I'm going to put a little notch in the picture to go in the concave shell, and so that it will set down into that Mod Podge a little smoother, and I won't get so many wrinkles because I just printed this on normal copy paper. I didn't put it on tissue paper. Now, I guess I could have, but the inside of that shell is not perfectly smooth, nor is it perfectly white. So if I wanted to do it on tissue paper so it wrinkled less, then I probably would have painted the inside of the shell white first and given it a good coating to make it both a little smoother and a little brighter. But I did not do either of those things. I used regular copy paper, and none of the coloring in the shell came through, and it did very well. And so I just cut little notches out in places on the picture that it wouldn't really show. So in between the petals, in between the greenery there. On the map, I cut out a notch in the ocean part there beside the land, places that it wouldn't really show. And so as I push it into the Mod Podge, I kind of bend it back and then set it off to dry. Now I'm going to get some of this vintage music. You know I'm a music teacher, and so I love music and I collect it, and I've got tons of it, so that's perfectly free to me. And so we're using, that is a green print, so I thought that was really pretty. And on that discolored paper, so I cut my little notch and put in the Mod Podge nice and thick, and then I'm going to just press it into the Mod Podge and let it dry. I'll bend it back just a little bit so that it's truly on the edges there. And then this Bible I found at the Goodwill bins. I was out at the bins the other day, and look at those pictures. Just beautiful. I love those old Bibles and the pictures. It didn't have a cover on it. Someone had ripped off the cover. There it is in the bins. And I felt like it just needed to come home with me. I loved all those pictures in there, and the maps in the back are gorgeous. And so I will be using bits and pieces of that Bible and probably putting it in a book stack. It looks like it's ready to go in a rustic book stack right now. It was perfect. And the nice thing about it was when I got up to the register at Goodwill outlet, the lady told me that they give those for free. If you pull a Bible out of the bins, then you don't even have to put it on to weigh it. I was getting ready to put it on to weigh, and she said, "Is that a Bible?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "We give those for, you can have that." And I thought that is a wonderful ministry they're doing there at the Goodwill. I love the bins. All right, so I'm trimming it now. They're dry, so I'm trimming it off and then taking my sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and you can tell that's a very used block. I've used it a lot. And then, of course, a nail file and filing off the extras so I have a nice shape of the shell. I'm going to do that for all of my shells, trimming and sanding so that they're ready for the nail polish. I'm going to get them all ready. Now, all these shells that I have and are prepping here, I'm going to end up using 1 full bottle of clear nail polish. So I wanted to see how many 1 bottle would make. And there I am getting ready to put on my face mask inside my house. But that nail polish, you know how it is. It is smelly. You can tell it's kind of dark around me. I'm at night. My husband's already gone to bed. So he's upstairs. And so I can get the nail polish out and not bother anyone. Now that Sally Hansen, the white one there, that is from Walmart. But the silver and that pretty blush pink right there, and then the gold, all 3 of those little square bottles are from the Dollar Tree, and they're gorgeous. There's the pink. I painted the back of that one, and there's a regular shell. And then, but the gold is the one that just makes these shells pop. I did 1 in the pink, but the rest of them I outlined in the gold, and it is just like the originals on Etsy. And they are beautiful. And you can tell I've already put the top coat on that one, and look at the shine. Resin, right? Is that like resin? It looks resin-like to me. I thought that top coat did a beautiful job, and so there I've sped it up quite a bit, and I'm just putting the top coat. Now, as I let them dry, I did tilt them a little bit so that it wouldn't completely pool down in the middle. I didn't want, to really put too much so when I went back and put more coats on it, I would kind of tilt it up so that it would not kind of pool there in the middle. And get a nice, there it is, even shiny coat. Oh my goodness, the Dollar Tree top coat clear nail polish is a swing and a home run hit. It is so great. Okay, and there goes the pink. That's that blush pink that I put on the edge of that one. I didn't know that's the color my daughter wants for her wedding is blush. And so I thought, we'll give it a try. I liked it, but the gold is the superstar here. And, that's going to be what we're going to want because, of course, gold is one of her colors as well. Look at the little sunflower. I just love it so. And so all of the shells that I made, I didn't count them. What was that, about 7 or 8 shells? They're not huge shells. They're shells that I get from the Dollar Tree. I keep them in a big basket, and then I use them for different projects and decorating. And there they go. Oh, I just love it so much. There on my sunflower tier tray, I made my last video. I'd love for you to go back and check there. There's Sunny the gnome sitting up there with a beautiful shelf that has Brunswick's map on it here in Glenn County. And then you're going to see on the back side of my tier tray, I'll go around, you'll see the St. Simon's one. St. Simon's Island. Not very good lighting, but you can see the shine of that top coat. Fantastic. Oh, there goes my husband. Love it so much. All right, let's move on to our next duplicate. There is Etsy's version of a gorgeous Pinecone wreath. $42 is what they have on that one. And lots of different colors. They have red and yellow and looks like brown and green and orange. And so here I am out in the backyard near my spray paint table, and I collected a few pine cones, and then I had one of my 5th graders who lives down the street. He has pine cones in his yard, and we were talking about pine cones, and he said, "You want me to bring you some, Miss Lamb?" And I said, "Sure." And so he and his mom were pushing his baby sister in a stroller on a walk, and he brought me a big bag of pine cones. A sweet thing. So thank you, Logan. I appreciate it very much. And so I'm going to have to make his mom a wreath with some pine cones for sure, as a little thank you for collecting pine cones. So they got a little bleach bath, bleach and water outside. Then I drained them and rinsed them with a hose, brought them inside, and have put them in turkey bags. And so I'm going to bake them now so that I make sure I don't bring any critters in the house. I bleach them first and get all the ick out of them and any mold that might be in there. And then I get the turkey bags out, and there's 2 turkey bags in a box. And I had enough pine cones, thanks to Logan. And I had a few little gumballs from when I was collecting. I got a few of those little sweet gumballs. And there they go. Into the bag, I snipped about 4 little vents with a pair of scissors in the top. After about an hour on 250 degrees, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put down some foil in my pans and then flip it over and cut a few more vents in the top, and leave it in for another hour or so on a real low setting, 250 degrees. And they will be, oh man, it is a strange but very woodsy, yummy smell. It's not something, it didn't make me hungry for something. It just was a very homey, very woodsy smell when you're baking pine cones. I recommend it. I thought it was nice. My son came out, and he came in and he kind of crinkled his eyes, and I said, "That's pine cones cooking. What do you think?" He's like, And no, he had no comment. But anyway, it wasn't a bad comment, so I'll take it. Okay, so here I have them laid out on a towel, just kind of drying overnight. And so I'm just picking similarly shaped pine cones for my wreath. And I picked out 50, you can see 50. And then I picked out a few extra because I decided to add green. I was going to do just this orange and then yellow, and I got that for $1.99. And then a metallic gold from Ace, and then that is navy. What was that? Coastal navy? Is that what that was? Let me look here. Evening navy, ultra matte. And I decided to go ahead and let's see. The orange it was also a Rust-Oleum. That is rustic orange. And then the let's see. And that was the Ace metallic gold there. And then the yellow is also Rust-Oleum. It is gloss, and it is yellow. It does not say on it. I'm looking at the can right here. All right, so those are my 4 colors I started with, and then I went back inside and I grabbed about 12 more pine cones that were kind of beat up, and I sprayed them a green color, so you can see kind of beat up on one side, but one side was fine. And of course I'm gluing these into a wreath. You saw the original from Etsy. And so I decided to go ahead and give them a spray of this satin green apple from Rust-Oleum. But I end up, when I get them inside, the green apple was just not the color that suited me. It was a little too washed out. I wanted a brighter green. So I went ahead and grabbed any green I could put my hands on. Avocado. I was pulling out this color and that color and mixing it up. And I had that bright pop of green. You can see the other 4 colors laid out there on the counter. And I'm making those greens pop in the wreath form. Okay, so this is a 14-inch wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and I use 1 pack of that burlap ribbon. Now that is from the Dollar General. They were clearancing those half off. Those are their $2 burlap ribbon over in their wrapping section, and they were clearancing that, and they were just going to keep the ones over in the craft section. Now I'm going to use this pack of glue sticks in this video. on all my projects. And you're going to see at the very end, I'm going to have, I think, 7 glue sticks left. And I believe I started off with maybe a few that I had already used. So I end up using quite a bit of the glue, but honestly, after all that you see that I do with it, I feel like I got my money's worth out of that package of glue. And that 24 count of large glue sticks, and those are the long ones, I like to use those because you don't have to change them very often, was $5.96. So $6 for 24 glue sticks, and I ended up having some extra left over. All right, so I just wrapped it so that I wouldn't lose any glue. I don't want to waste. I don't want any glue going through down to my mat. And so I start gluing the pine cones to the ribbon. And I wanted them, I didn't want them to lay flat. I wanted them to be a little bit diagonal. So I rest them on that frog tape there. I just set that there as a prop. And we'll take that out after a while when we get the pine cones around. And so I just start gluing and pressing, and you see some of little bitty bits on the paper there on the mat. That's because I'm trimming them off, and you can see a little bowl there of pine cone bits. I'm going to save those. See, I'm pulling off some of the pieces so that they will lay together nice and snug. I don't want to be able to see the burlap through the pine cones. I want them to be nice and tight. And so I'm using plenty of glue. I'm not being stingy with the glue. We've got that burlap there that's going to catch it so that they will stick nicely to the burlap. And I'm just seeing what's going to fit. I've got lots of different sizes. I've got them down there beside me. I tried to pick out pine cones that were similar in size, but of course they're natural elements from nature, so they're going to be a little bit different, but I love that. That's what I was going for. Now, this is a 5 under 5 challenge, so I'm trying to be thrifty. I'm trying to get under $5. So you're going to see in the original picture, if you noticed, the paint is very vibrant. Now, I only put 2 coats of paint on one side of these pine cones because I don't mind having a little bit of the natural element coming through, the natural pine cone color coming through. I don't mind that at all. Actually, I kind of love it. See how I put that orange one kind of out there, but it just made it look a little bit more, well, it just was more cohesive with the circular shape I was going for there. Now you can see how I'm going to start putting the 2 sides together so that you can't tell, and I'm tucking under some of these pine cones under where I started. Took out the frog tape, and I'm going to start tucking them under there. I set it up a little bit on some bottles of glue and paint and wax and different things, and ooh, that little orange one's giving me a hard time. And so that I could let them hang off. I didn't want them touching the paper, but I wanted to be able to wrap the pine cones around the wreath form. I didn't want to see the wreath form, so I wanted them to wrap around, so that's why I have them setting up on those bottles. And then here we go, onto the yellow door. I took down my She Said Yes wall hanging that's been up all summer. Okay, I love it. All right, so now I was looking online and I saw this beautiful paper wreath that made out of music. And so I decided that I'd try to find something. And then on Etsy, kaboom, $45 for this gorgeous flower with the succulent in the middle. I could make that for way yonder less. So let's give it a shot. I still have those glue sticks, still using those. And I'm going to use the wagon wheel wreath form and just some tape I had on hand. And there's the succulent from the Dollar Tree. And I have music for days, for years, forever. That's old music. Every time I dye anything, I dye music, I dye pages, I dye those corn husks I did before. Anytime I dye anything in the kitchen, I always throw in some old music laying around in the studio. And so that's just music from piano lessons from years gone by. And I have lots in my filing cabinet of just dyed music, and it's rustic. I throw in some coffee or some tea, or tea bags that I'm making tea, and it makes it look very nice. So I always have that. So that's free to me. I always have that available. So I take the petals and I staple one end so they sit up nice and high. Then I glued that to the wreath form, and then I'm taking some extra petals and I'm covering up that tape. I want to make a base, and that tape is sticking to the paper underneath that I have on my craft table. So that's going to be the backing, and that will look very nice once we get that finished. And now I'm taking, if you'll notice, I have green music, dyed music for the outer edge, and then I'm putting just coffee stain music for the middle ring. I'm trying to match this succulent here. I'm going to take some folk art white wax, which actually comes out kind of an ivory color, and I'm going to paint that on the top of all of the succulent petals. And again, being thrifty, I'm not going to do the bottoms. You're not going to see it. And so then I just take a paper towel, and after they've sat on there for a minute, I am just dabbing that white wax off, and that is going to make my edges look different than the inner part, which is what I want. All right, so now I'm going to work on the petals for the center ring, which is pink. I must have dyed these around Valentine's Day for some reason or another, and so I had some pink left over, and so I am going to again make some petals, and then you're going to see those my little cuttings, the scraps I'm going to make I'm going to use in my last DIY in this video. So stay tuned to see what happens with those. I'm going to use those cuttings, and they look fantastic. You'd think that's oh, there's a little foreshadowing. You'd think that's trash, but oh no. Again, I'm trying to be thrifty here. Whereas the 5 under 5 challenge, I'm trying to make a buck stretch. So I've got my little stapler there, and I'm just putting one staple after I fold it in on themselves, a little staple, and that makes them have that petal shape. Oh, there's some music or some writing that I'd put in on that piece of music for some student one time. You can see my writing there. And okay, so I'm going to put another layer of white wax, and then dab it off, and oh, it's a spinning. We're having fun. Look out, party time in the craft room. All right, fantastic, beautiful. My goodness, I just love that. And here comes the original. Yes, that's what it looks like at the store, which I love. Dollar Tree loves the succulents, but there it is, white waxed, and that is the showstopper right there. I love that white wax. Okay, so that is 2 layers. We've got the green layer, and we've got the coffee stain layer, which is more of a brownish yellow layer. And then I trimmed that paper off the back, so now I just have a nice backing. And here comes the pink center layer. So this is 3 layers of petals, and then we're going to put the succulent in the middle for our little center. And you can see that I kind of made it random there in the middle. I snipped off the little stem there with my wire snips, and then hot glue, and there she is. Beautiful. Oh, I love that mom. Man, oh man. And here we go. There's my studio. That's our piano room, our music room. You can see there the edge of the piano, and I have my Celtic harp. I made a little tie with 2 loops. I'm going to put it on the closest loop right there on my little hook on the door, and I just love it there into the studio. Ooh, and there's my desk. I love that mom. That fall mom is going to be on the music room door until Christmas, and then it'll probably go right back up in January. I am in love with that thing. Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. Beautiful. All right, so $45. What do you think? How do you think we did? I think it is worth way more to me. Fantastic, because that's got my handwriting in it and music from my students. Okay, I was in Hobby Lobby and saw this little beauty hanging up. I took that picture in my Hobby Lobby, and so I went on the app, and they were selling this for $60 in the store, and on the app they had it as seasonal, a seasonal item. So they had it on half off. And so for $30, that's the cheapest we're going to be able to get it. I think we can do better. Now again, I was at the Goodwill bins, and stay tuned. This next weekend I'm putting out a video for those two little thrifting items. I'm going to make pumpkins out of those lampshades. But we are going to make a corn husk wreath, a duplicate to dupe that Hobby Lobby wreath. I'm not going to get my corn husks from Walmart though. I can get them for half price, $4.19. $4.19 for 75. Yes, for that bag of corn husks. What a deal. Oh, thank you, Save-A-Lot. Go to your discount grocery store and see if they have corn husks for tomatillos or, you know, all kinds of goodies. I'm using a 18-inch ring. I got that at the Goodwill bins. That's what I was doing at the bins. I love finding craft supplies at the bins. It's so exciting. I always go on a Sunday afternoon after church. After lunch, I head out there, and it's like they know I'm coming because they put the craft stuff in the bins on Sunday afternoons. There just always seems to be something. So that's where I got my 18-inch ring there, and so I paid pennies for that. And then I'm saving money. I'm not going to put ribbon around this one. I'm just going to use corn husks. I got a great deal on those corn husks. And so I've got over there in my basket, I have one package, $4.19 worth. And you're going to see that I use about half of them. And it makes a huge wreath. The Hobby Lobby wreath said it was 13 inches in diameter. And so I figure from tip to tip, that probably is an 18-inch ring as well. I didn't measure it at the store. But in the end, and I didn't measure mine, but you're going to see it turns out huge. It goes on my front door perfectly, and it couldn't be any bigger. If it were bigger, it wouldn't. My storm door wouldn't shut. And my husband, I came home after putting it up, and he had the storm door kind of open a little bit because he was afraid it was going to crush the wreath, but I said it's okay. And so anyway, I put the corn husk on both sides, and then I decide to use for my first layer, I decide to do little dots of the wood glue that you get from Dollar Tree, and I end up using one package of wood glue. I had already used some of that wood glue. I'm going to move my little bottles now that I have the base on, and I'm going to put out, I reuse these parchment papers. There we go, because I don't want the wood glue to stick to the paper. I want it to, but I want to use, you know, let gravity help me here, and I want that wood glue to dry overnight. You're going to see that I'm going to have different clothes on when I put on the next layer because I'm going to let this dry overnight. So I put on dots of wood glue, and then in between the dots, I put the little dots of hot glue. And so here is the next day. I'm in a different clothes because look, super sturdy, super sturdy. That wood glue worked like a charm. That stuff is so strong. I love it. So I don't use it very often, but when I do, it sure does work. It's great glue. So before I put on any other layers, I decided to go ahead and just put some string on there. I just picked out a string that I thought was the same color as the corn husk and wouldn't show. And so I put that around the wire ring because we're getting ready to cover it up. And now I got this mat at Ollie's. I am saying there is a sunflower wreath in the making. Look at that. When I dyed those corn husks for my gladiolas video, the August What Month Is It challenge that I did a few videos ago, yes, I still have some of those. I feel like I'm going to have to make a sunflower with that mat. Doesn't that look like the middle of a sunflower? Holy cow. All right, so here we go. I'm going to just use the rest of this particular bottle. I have it, so I'm going to use it. And we're going to put on our second layer. Now notice how I'm picking out corn husks that have a little bit of a natural curl upward. And so I am putting, again, dots of wood glue and dots of hot glue, and then I've got it all, that second ring all kind of curled up. Now, what I'm working on here is the third ring. But this is the top of the wreath, and I want that inner ring to be nice and neat. So I've tucked in those corn husks, and then I've folded them back over top and put in just hot glue. I've used up all the wood glue I'm going to use, so I'm just using more of that hot glue, and then I'm laying something heavy on it. I put the hot glue down, I fold it over, careful, careful, careful with that hot glue. You can see I've got one little finger protector, but it's still warm to the, very warm to the touch when I fold over that corn husk. But I didn't get any burns, I did good. And then I lay something heavy on it. So my shears and my stapler, and I've got a thing of paint. And you can see, look, I still have lots of the corn husk left. So here's the back of the wreath, and I wasn't real happy with how it was looking so far. So I was just going to do the 3 rings, but I decided to put one more layer strategically placed there on the back, in case I want to hang this on my storm door, and you'll be able to see through it. I wanted the back to look nice. It didn't need to look perfect, but I did want it to look nice. And those little tips are going to show out in the back of our flower on the corn husk wreath. And I'm just trimming a little bit there and making the back look nice. And I already had the string on. There's our original at Hobby Lobby. They kind of went around in a round motion, and I did more of a flower. And here we go. Okay, now we're in my kitchen, and I wanted to put my beautiful corn husk wreath, gosh, it's hard to get it into the shot, on my pantry door here. But as I put it up here, I realized that it might be too big. So I may have to find another spot. I don't mind if it curls, because it is supposed to be natural, but look at that showstopper. My goodness. And I didn't even use the whole package. I wanted to show you. This was the package from Save-A-Lot for what was it, $4.19, something like that. 75 count, dry corn husks, love them. But this is what I used. This is what I have left. So I still have maybe half left. I have tons left of these little gems. I may end up dyeing them more of the yellow so that I can make that sunflower wreath. That would make a perfect sunflower wreath with that table placemat, with that placemat from Ollie's in the middle. And so I may dye these. I have a few already dyed yellow, but I may end up dyeing the rest of these. So I didn't even use the full pack. Also, I wanted to show you that this 24-piece count of glue sticks, I've opened it up upside down, I want to dump them. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 left, and I made 3 wreaths. 3 wreaths with glue stick. And it is solid. This is solid. The music flower wreath is solid. And my Pinecone wreath is still on the front door. And it is been on there for a couple of days now, and it is still solid. So still lots of glue sticks left. So I didn't use all of those. I also wanted to show you, I'm perfectly fine with it being monochromatic and simple. That is gorgeous. It does not need a thing. But I grabbed a couple wreaths or a couple of bows out of my stash, and that would be gorgeous with that little bit of yellow and that mesh that I got at Hobby Lobby. And then this is Dollar Tree ribbon with the little gold rimming. It's wired. It also would be very pretty for a little extra pop of gold. But I am happy, happy, happy with it just plain like that. All right, but I love it. I love it. This Dupes video has been so much fun because I've been able to think of ways to make things for less. And so it's been a lot of fun. All right, let's move on to our last project, and we're going to zip through this one because it's so easy. Look at that, $20, $10 for music with transfers. There's a big B, and that one had the price tag $35. Of course, it's in a frame. We're just going to make a wall hanging today, and I'm going to use some more of my vintage music. I've got tons of it. And look at there, Rolling Girls. Okay. All right, I want to be in Dixie, and I do want to be in Dixie this fall. That's where I live, and I love living in South Georgia. And so look at these transfers I got off of Amazon. Oh, boy, they're so gorgeous. I choose this piece of music because it has lots of open space and will really show off those transfers beautifully. So I just take some patterned craft paper from my stash. I think I got that last year at the Dollar Tree, maybe. Maybe Walmart, I don't know. I have a couple of rolls of it. I feel like I got several. I use it at school a lot, and I use it here. Anyway, I'm going to cut out a big sheet, and then I'm going to fold it over on itself. Use a little bit of double-sided tape on the edges. I'm going to straighten up that edge a little bit. And then use glue stick. And that's going to keep a nice, straight, flat, craft paper is nice and thick anyway. And so if I fold it back and use a little bit of glue stick, then it's going to work out just fine and make a nice wall hanging. I'll just do a little hem on the top. I leave the sides. I don't think I put a hem on the sides, but I will put a hem on the bottom. I'm going to dovetail the bottom later. Lots of glue stick on the back. I put a little bit of tape where it was kind of tearing to sure it up a little bit. And there we go. I'm just making sure I've got it kind of centered there with my little transfer stick that they send in the packaging from Amazon. Ooh, I just love it so much. So you know that how transfers work. You just go ahead and pick out what you want, cut it up. You do not have to go with how they style the pictures. You style it yourself and cut it up, and then just place down the transfer and use the stick and rub, and just slowly peel it up using, I love it so much, it's so cute. Ooh, I got that cup at the Dollar Tree. It says Autumn Blessings, I believe. It has 3 little gnomes all dressed up for autumn. I'm so ready. And there's that little truck. I want to go to Dixie, so I've got my little red truck full of all kinds of fall goodness. And of course we have to have a pumpkin, and so there's that cute little orange pumpkin that's beautifully shaded. And there's some beautiful fall flowers, and I'm going to end up putting I think another pine cone on there just to even it out. I cut out one little pine cone out. Oh, I think actually that's an acorn I put on there. And then I'm going to just rub that on there, and I'll fill in a few of those holes there on the music page. I'm going to dovetail the bottom, so I find the middle, then I draw a line, then I'll trim it up with some extra selvage, and then I'm going to fold over a hem, a little bit of glue stick, and that's going to hang beautifully. And I'll make that nice and crisp. Now I got this idea for the hanger from Julie's Designs and Signs. She made that in an IOD video just a couple of weeks ago when they premiered, and just used a skirt hanger. And I said, well, I've got those in my closet. So I went up and found one that was wood. And so I roughed it up a little bit and sanded off that kind of cherry finish sheen. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of antique wax on there, let it dry, and then I'll just take a nail file to it, just barely get the edges so it looks really nice and rustic, but still finished. There we go. And I'll just do a little bit on the front side. I don't need to do the back side. And then I'm just going to put it in there and hang it like a skirt. I'm not going to glue it. It's going to hold in there just fine. And I may want to change it. I may want to make a Christmas wall hanging. Okay, now here are my cuttings. You thought that was trash. No, I'm going to use that as a shabby bow. And we're just taking a piece of twine there, a big thick piece that I got from Amazon. And I'm going to unravel that twine a little bit. I'm going to do a knot, then unravel the twine, and that is my bow. Is that pink, those cuttings off of my petals for my fall mum wreath. And so I'm just unraveling that. I'm going to trim it up and glue it to that hanger. I'll be able to pop that off because you know hot glue and metal don't always hang out together for too long, so I'll be able to pop that off of there if I want to put a Christmas ribbon on for a Christmas wall hanging. But isn't that the perfect bow for that wall hanging? $20 for that beautiful hem sheet, and there's ours. I love it. I love the addition of the transfers. I was itching to use those transfers since I got them in the mail, and that shabby bow made out of the music cuttings, perfect. Okay, our open playlist, please check out these lovely ladies' channels and go and click on the playlist and get lots of inspiration for some duplicates, making duplicates for under $5. I think we did it. And if you were able to if you made it all the way through to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching. Leave me a little orange heart in the comments below and tell me your favorite. I'm so glad that you're here. This has been such a fun challenge. And I love that little shell with the picture of Jerusalem and the Salt Sea and the monogram. Yes. Oh, turn it right side up so Jerusalem's the right side. And beautiful biblical land and the music and the sunflower. And there's that bottle. Used it all on those shells. I love those. Oh, so gorgeous. And there I put that burlap bow on my pinecone wreath, and that looks fantastic. I just love it. And look at my front door from edge to edge. We have our, oh, and look at there, Toby's saying, "Mommy, what are you doing out there taking a picture of the front door?" And that's my dog right there, always at my side. But I think this one is my favorite. The beautiful fall mum with the succulent in the middle reminds me of Psalm 96:11 through 12. Let the heavens rejoice, let the earth be glad, let the sea resound and all that is in it. Let the fields be jubilant and everything in them. Let all the trees of the forest sing for joy. Thank you for being here from the blue house on the corner. I wish your duplicates that all turn out bigger than you initially had planned. God bless you, and I will see you next time.